Hi, friends. Today I'm going to tell you something really interesting. We all love sipping at a Starbucks, but this is what is the important management and business lesson that you will learn. Uh, the Starbucks start till becoming a big success is a story that almost is oversold. Any and everyone is selling it. So I'm not going to focus on that part. I'm going to focus on the other part of the story. What went wrong, because of which Starbucks started on a downfall, and how the owner Robert Schuller intervened and eventually came back. Now, the interesting part is uh, being a street fighter who have who have fight back from tough times. These things had been really interesting to me as a lesson. And we can always find out some customized mix from the crux lessons, the mantras or the strategies onto it. Now what happened was, now we all know that Starbucks became big, public limited company and things. What happens is, as soon as you become a public limited company, there are so many restrictions and limitations that is restricted from various stock exchange, the government, the taxation authorities and things, that you need to hire a lot of people who come in the high level accountant, attorneys, MBAs and things, and at the back end, because they came with certain set of expectations, and their social circle and subgroups come from equally if it's like if you are in doctor, your natural social circle includes more of the doctors and nurses and physiotherapists and things like that. So when these people started coming, and this happens as a very natural normal track with any and every company, any and every, so even if my companies will be going that, we have to go with the same track. So what went wrong? The interesting thing, what we can learn so that we can avoid those mistakes. The problem really happens is when the company Starbucks started hiring these people, it was overflooded with success and money was pouring in. Now what happens is, uh, there is what I call is a planning and replanning cycle at the top, a strategic wing, and we all do it, but we all get in that same type. The mindset is just the same. It is planning and replanning cycle. Now what happens is, when you are overloaded with money, you end up trying to get most the best you can manage for our management team, and then becomes your circle, that your circle is surrounded with at least 30, 25, 30, 50% of people who are at equal or bigger level than you are. So naturally you end up getting Harvard MBAs, and or just tier 2 level, highest level colleges guys, and the so called uh, no, the elite managerial one. I'm talking about the real one, the one who have brains over their shoulders. Up till this time, everything is right. What happens next? And this doesn't happen. What happens next is, a company like that big, who's overflooded with success, have continuous internal pressure. They have a very big stomach of army of top managers and CEOs and a mid-level managers. Now I'm not talking about the lower level employees or the blue collar people or things like that. I'm talking about the top, the management wing. And this big management wing are always have internal politics, internal jealousy, internal competition. Now it can be on a positive side or a negative side. That optimum level is the responsibility of a leader. That is only possible with a lot of subjective factors, like what is the work culture, how a leader is able to sustain that kind of culture. So what happens is, now since there is so much of internal competition between them, and I'm talking about the more positive competition sector, we MBAs have a notion. We try to have, unfortunately, that is the way we are groomed up. And when there's so much of flooded things, we like to experiment and we like to make unnecessarily thing complicated. A simple thing that can be done simply done, we like to make it complicated. So what thing happened is, at this point of time, when Starbucks was at the peak of its success, these MBAs started doing all the MBA gimmick, which happens and which is normal, like turnaround time, reducing that. So what they tried is, if a steward If you go and order a coffee on a Starbucks, so a waiter coming to you, and if it's taking say 90 seconds to approach you, let's turn around the time in to say 60 seconds, 70 seconds. If it end to end uh, serving the staff, serving by the staff, waiter or waitress is taking say 3 minutes for one particular person, one on one table. Let's try to reduce it 2 minutes, 1.5 minute. You know, and if you observe what happens, these all people are top managers and mid-level managers. They are the strategic wing. They do not have they haven't put in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years on the shop floor as a waiter waitress. So they are basically reducing things. They are just like the investors, stock market analyst, who doesn't have anything to do with actual getting that things done. They only see the balance sheet, and they compare it from here and there, and so probably that company is doing this, why are not doing this, and this that. Yeah, this is what is the mindset I'm talking about. So you can correlate with the things what happens is, because there is so much of internal competition, the mid-level manager proposes one such idea. The top level manager who have to look better in the eyes of bigger bosses, and the bigger bosses have to look better in the eyes of CEOs, and CEOs who is under pressure to give reply to the investors. He have also to do some filing work, and look better, and something is doing things like that. So they implemented on all such things, which is called a turnaround time and things. Now, because of this, it eventually Starbucks lead to a downfall. There are many such things, but why I'm stressing this is because this particular thing is what the CEO mentioned in his one of the videos that I have seen in the YouTube, which eventually persuaded me to make this video. And this was by the Robert Schuller, the owner of the Starbucks. He made and how he intervened. So once this thing happened, Starbucks came to a fall, and the owner CEO intervened, and he came back as a active CEO role, and he found what was wrong. Simple enough, straightforward. The direct implication, what we can do, whatever is our companies or our lines of businesses, just see if we are not getting result, or if we are if we used to get result but now we are not getting it. Why? What is the thing that is lacking? Is in the approach, in the already existing approach. What thing have worked in the past, why it have worked in the past, and why it is not working. Same thing the CEO did. He did the very simple thing. He asked what was thing working in the past, and they deduced this one thing. The reason why Starbucks, their loyal customer, love to go to Starbucks was not because of the coffee, but because of the relationship that they build. Because of value addition, there are so many stories, there are emotions, there is human things. People love to, it is like people love to have a romantic evening there. People want to spend more of hours there. They would like to use it as a lounge. This is like something where it's not about strict business talk where you are trying to close a deal in 3 5 minutes. This is where people are like writers like to have their, and take 2 or 3 kind of launch, and there's a emotional bonding, which had persuaded a loyal set of buyers for initial 7 years, on which, or catching on which, the Starbucks became the huge global success. Now when this all this thing happened, when the fallback happened on the turnaround time, and trying to restrict things and things like that, they were cutting cost things and things like that happened. They The core thing which attracted the buyers in the first place, the buyers found it missing. It became very much mechanical. The human element, the from any and every competitor. Almost any competitor is smart enough to install that kind of machines and have it. The core thing was the human element, the relationship that was there. And this was the first thing that the Starbucks founder corrected it. uh, he cut down on all such things, which was like turnaround time, which pressurizes the waiter to move things really fast, or and instead of building relationship with the customers. And he also fired a couple of such CEOs. In fact, if I'm on a fighting back mission, the first thing I will do is find out all those big ticket items or the big ticket salary package CEOs who made it wrong, and will fire them. That is, in fact, and it takes real amount of guts and courage and self confidence to do it, and that is the best way to turn around things. And uh, this is what the owner was Robert was able to do it successfully, and because of which eventually Starbucks again came back as a roaring lion and became at the top of the people. So understand the few mantras and strategies that we need to lessons as we need to learn. First, when you become riding the level of success, first thing that we need to remember is why, what made us successful. That is the first core values and principles that we need to remember. Inst- yeah, it automatically happens when you become big. You have to delegate things to CEOs, and have to find a big management team, and eventually, because the company is flooded with money and success, you have to hire more and more managers to manage things and at the micro level and things like that. It all happens, it have to be there. That is a sign of success. But remember the crux thing, the first thing, the core values, the core thing, why people are buying you. I'm not talking about the core value of the values on what you stand for, things like that. I'm talking about something, why people are buying you. Paris Hilton, for example, is famous for being famous. As simple as that. So whether she's taking drugs or she's trying to make a fake publicity stunt, she's just famous to become a famous person. That's simple. Globally, people know if it's Paris Hilton, she's a famous woman. No one cares, she's hired from the Hilton rich family or things. She is famous for being famous. That is the first core proposition. That is what she knows, and she knows very well how to be in the limelight. That is true. So understand the lesson. When you are riding the rides of success, it happens to become overconfident. But if you do, the sensible thing is to come back, recognize your mistake, accept it gracefully. It adds to your grace and stride to bow down a little bit when you deeply feel that, especially when you know that is directly hurting at your belly and hurting at your profits, and correct the same thing because that is what you stand for. Thank you very much.